Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rosya Tessa Lorenza from the State Islamic University of Araniri, Banda Aceh. And today I will explain the journal entitled is a data masking scam for sensitive big data based on format preserving encryption. This journal was completed by Bo Chen Chui, Bai Hyung Zhang, Kei Yu Wong from School of Computer Science, Beijing University of Post and Telecommunication, National Engineering Laboratory for Mobile Network Security, Beijing, China. Okay, abstract. Development of big data has brought us convenience and benefit, but the privacy issues have become increasingly prominent. In order to solve the problem of personal sensitive information linkage, this paper purpose a data masking scheme based on format preserving email address and other data with type format limit and ensure the chapter text is still in the original format constraint. In addition, this paper proposed a solution for large scale of data masking experiment on Spark show that our data masking scheme based on format preserving expression can achieve the purpose of masking sensitive information while preserving the data format, and the parallel computing can get high efficiency. Okay, next, introduction. With the development of big data, data mining has become very popular. At the same time, this also brings privacy problems. Data irreversibly, such as using IAS algorithm to encrypt the name field. This can make the name and distinguish different individuals, but the result is a binary bit string which has lost the original data format, so it can neither be saved back to the database nor be identified as effective information. On the other hand, some financial companies choose to anonymize personal information to protect personal privacy, such as using a fixed name to replace all the names or using youth, manhood, and old age to max exact age. But anymore, data lost the original individual's characteristic and cannot be recovered from the anonymized data after the original data, so it cannot be directly decrypted to get the original data after being analyzed. Data masking scheme based on the format preserving encryption or VPA, and VPA is an irreversibly symmetric encryption method. And next, related work. Data masking is to provide reliable protection for sensitive privacy data by changing the data from according to a given masking rule. There are a variety of data masking methods such as key anonymization or inclusion generation and suppression and encryption technology. In practical application, it is necessary to encrypt sensitive data such as credit card number and ID numbers in the database. Format preserving encryption or VPA can be applied to solve the privacy problem in database and other application system. Database structure and application do not need to make any change for chapter text because the output of VPA has the same length and format as plain text. Next, our data masking scheme. An algorithm will be chosen for each substring, and we must specify a range to ensure the result matches the specified format. Before format preserving encryption, the substring is mapped to integer field. The encryption algorithm takes the substring after map as the input and output the intermediate result. And this is an example. Okay, A. Establish algorithm library. There are some VPA algorithms that have been proposed. Each method holds their own advantage and is suited for different data. At first, an algorithm library is established for different kinds of data to choose. Library is established for different kinds of data to choose. The algorithm ELG is submitted to the algorithm library algorithm set together with corresponding key length and key length of the block chapter it calls. The encryption function and ENC and description function deck. When user call the VPA algorithm, it output the function from the algorithm set. Okay, next key generation. K-GEN algorithm take method K and key. Selected VPA algorithm ELG. Algorithm library algorithm set as input and output the K for ELG KALG. K-GEN compute hash of M key together with coded ALG because K length of block chapter we use is no longer than 256 bits. We choose SHA 256 as the hash function. At last, the decay will be trunced to require a length as we get from the algorithm library. C. String segmentation. For example, email address is separated into my name and username by a character at. We take the original string X and the separator set as input, and it output the separated substring. Key indicates the number of substring after separation. And the other method is to separate the field into several parts in different lengths. An example is Chinese ID card number made up with 18 number which can be divided into 4 parts. The first, seek for the address, 7 to 13 for the date of birth, 15 to 17 for personal coding, 18 is the check code. We take the original string X and an array, length array, which represents the length of each substring as input, and it output the separate substring. Next, building mapping table. The mapping set map and the inverse mapping set inverse map respectively store the mapping of the map mode, and the corresponding mapping rules for processing before encryption, and format recovering after encryption when the substring is to be encrypted. We first search the map mode in map set. If it is found, it will be mapped directly. If it fails, the mapping table will be generated according to the rules, and the new table will be added to the mapping set. Then we use it to begin mapping. If the substring calls the VPA algorithm to perform format preserving encryption, we need to map the entire string in character. And this is an example. Okay, executing the FPA algorithm. After selecting the the appropriate mapping table, the FPA encryption process will begin. Cycle walking machine take the output of the previous round as input and repeat the encryption until the range limitation is met. Finally, the output of the VPA algorithm is mapped through the inverse mapping inverse map. Okay, next, integration. After inverse mapping, the separate substring have been encrypted according to the format constraints. Finally, these encrypted substrings are integrated as the way they are separated. Okay, implementation. A executive process on Spark. When the system receives the request for data masking, each request data table is firstly exported from the database to a CSV file. The CSV files to be processed are uploaded to Hadoop Distributed File System or HDFS, and then the parallel calculation is started. First, the sensitive data item stored in HDFS will be converted to resilient distributed database or RDD and distributed to different nodes to perform map calculation, and as the same as in an example. Okay, next, performance analysis. We execute the format preserving encryption procedure with sensitive data including name, SSN, address, credit card number, email, address, and the date of birth, and analyze the efficiency of our scan. Testing time only contains the time consuming in processing text data without including exporting data from database. Okay, and that figure 4 show that time consuming in data process increase with the increase of amount of data both in single machine and distributed system, but it runs faster in distributed system, up to about 10 times faster than in single system. And this is example figure 4. Next, we compute the processing speed with different amount of input data respectively as shown in figure 5 and figure 6. The result in single machine is different from that in distributed system. When the procedure runs in single machine, the process speed decreases with the increase of amount of data. Okay, conclusion. In order to make sensitive information and ensure the mixed data contain valid information, we propose a new data masking scheme based on format preserving encryption. There are still some problems to be solved in the future. First, the encryption speed is not fast enough in comparison with traditional symmetric encryption algorithm. Okay, the purpose general of FPA solutions are inefficient because they call the block chapter several times in one FPA method call. Future study will focus on how to improve performance under the premise of security. Second, this data masking scheme can preserve the format and range of the data, but it cannot preserve the association between different data, such as time, other, and number size. Okay, that's enough for the explanation of this journal review. Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.